I got to make sure I heard you right on a couple of things. In response to Mr. Frank's question on the amounts of money that were made or lost, I'm not sure I heard it right. Did I hear you correctly that all the bailouts that we did and all the windows that you opened earned a positive, I think you said $125 billion estimate? Did I hear that correctly?
I'll make two separate statements. The first one is if you look at all of the TARP-related financial, and I'm leaving out the housing and stuff, but all the TARP-related financial investments and all the Fed special programs, facilities, et cetera, all of those have been, or certainly will be, profitable. That's the first statement. Second statement is that the Fed has remitted $125 billion in the last 2 years to the Treasury. That money comes from those programs. It also comes from our purchases of securities where we take the interest and just give it back to the Treasury.
So after all the wailing and gnashing of teeth over the last 2 years, you and we just earned the American taxpayers $125 billion.
That's correct.
Thank you. Because I have to be honest, I was a little stunned. After everything I've heard for the last 2 years, apparently we were just throwing money away. But I guess that just didn't turn out to be true. The other one I wanted to follow up on was Ms. Waters' question. Again, I need to make sure I heard you correctly. I know there was a little back and forth last week as to what you said or what you didn't say and how it was interpreted. On the basis of the $60 billion in cuts to the federal government that's been proposed and passed by this House, not by the Senate, but by the House, did I hear you correctly that the real disagreement was not on whether it would cost jobs, but how many jobs that would cost? Is that a fair?
That's right.
And you're in the 200,000 range?
Yes.
Over a period of approximately how long?
A couple of years, yeah.
About a year?
Couple of years.
Couple of years. So the debate really is whether they're going to cut 200,000 jobs versus 700,000 jobs. And I guess it would probably be fair to say that you don't think cutting jobs is a real smart thing right now?
No, I'd like to see jobs creation. I'd like to see job creation. And what I've been trying to focus on, we got to keep our eye on deficit reduction, but we need to think about it in a long-term framework.
Fair enough. But I agree with that statement. But those two statements today, to me, were the two most interesting statements that have been made all day. I have lots of other questions. I'm not going to have time to ask them, so I may send them to you in writing. I want to talk a little bit about this, the growing gap between the wealthiest and the poorest in this country, but that'll have to wait till later. I know other members have mentioned it. I want to talk at some point, I'll probably put this in writing to you, the real definition of how many people are really unemployed. It really bothers me that for some reason we don't count discouraged workers in the unemployed ranks because even though they're not looking for work and they really would like to work, we don't count them. It really bothers me that we don't take any account for the participation rate. The so-called participation rate's gone down, and we don't seem to count them. But that'll have to wait for another day. I actually, at some point, like to really get your opinion on the Red Sox chances for middle relievers this year, but that'll have to wait as well.
I'd be happy to talk about that.
Well, I know you would, and I actually would respect your opinion on the matter. I do want to talk a little bit. Do you have any estimate at the moment how much money corporations are sitting on at the moment? I know there's been reported numbers all over the place, hundreds of billions, maybe even trillions of dollars the corporations are holding on their books. Do you have any estimate on that?
$2 trillion, I think, is
$2
the
trillion?
number I hear. That's cash on balance sheets, but a lot of that, I should add, is overseas.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is U.S. corporations holding it?
Yes.
Okay. So do you think it would be good for the economy if that $2 trillion would have been moved into either investing in capital equipment or hiring people, or do you think it's best that the corporations sit on the money?
Well, obviously, it'd be better if it was invested or used for hiring, but firms have to make their own determination about whether that's a profitable thing to do.
But do you think it would be a reasonable thing to do for this government and for your agency to look at ways to encourage, not punish, not demand, but encourage them to move that money around and to get it back into the economy?
That's one of the ways the QE2 works. It lowers yields and safe cash-like instruments like treasuries and makes it more expensive to just hold cash. It makes people look for other things.
So you're already doing it.
We're trying to do that, yes, now.
And do you think it would be a good thing for this government to do it as well, if we could find appropriate ways to encourage them, not to punish, but to encourage them?
One thing you could consider, as you know, I've suggested looking at the corporate tax code, and one aspect of it is a territoriality provision. If you were to allow firms to bring back cash, from abroad without additional taxation or limited additional taxation, there might be more incentive for them to bring it home and use it domestically.
Excellent. I'm not even going to use all my time because you've answered all my questions appropriately. And I really want to thank you for being honest on those two items. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.